Welcome back to the Football and Football Show. My name is Max. To my left is Mr. Luke Lendler. To my right, Nathan Jewett. And today we got two football topics for you, one football. Our two football topics, we're going to be talking first about some reliable and unreliable fantasy running backs. For our second topic, we're going to be talking out of fantasy. We're going to be talking about the top 5 teams in the NFL right now that we think can be total contenders in this case. And then for football, you guys are going to be talking about the top 7 teams
in the English
Premier League. So, to start it off, we're going to be talking about some fantasy running backs. Luke, who do you think are going to be some of the better fantasy running backs this season?
So, better is weird because there's a lot of fantasy running backs that are kind of in limbo. You don't necessarily know which way they're going to go. Like Le'Veon Bell, you don't know if he's going to be good or not. But I really feel like somebody who's going to come back strong well is going to be David Johnson. From the Arizona Cardinals, he comes into a system that relies on deep passes a lot, which should free up the secondary and the linebackers enough for him to slam it down the throat of the defense with only 4 guys who could potentially tackle him, and they'll be blocked by 5 offensive linemen. So he really shouldn't have much problems getting 5 or 6 yard gains on every single run. He definitely fits the system well, especially if you're in a PPR league. You will know Cliff Kingsbury loves to air it out, so Johnson could definitely be a threat out of the backfield. What about you, Nate?
Well, you got to go for some of the obvious ones. Le'Veon is going to be good. Kamara, he's always going to be good. But one of the questions we have here is Ezekiel Elliott. His whole contract situation, it's just a little bit too unreliable for me. So, personally, I'd stay away from him.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Ezekiel Elliott is too much of a risk, and I think other guys that are not necessarily about contracts, but more about injuries. I think that Todd Gurley is not 100% healthy. We know that right now. I would suggest passing on him. I'd also suggest passing on a guy like Dalvin Cook, where we've seen flashes of his greatness. However, he's been injured at some point every single year he's played so far. So I'd stay away from those guys, and I agree with Luke with David Johnson, because David Johnson, I just had a draft last night, an 8-team draft, and I was stuck with the 8th and 9th picks, and I was surprised to see that David Johnson fell down that far, and I obviously took him because I think that this year with Cliff Kingsbury's new offense, you got a new QB, you got some receivers. I mean, Larry Fitz is kind of the ageless legend, so you can't really gauge that, and then Christian Kirk, but we still don't know what's going to happen about him. I think that David Johnson's not only a running threat, but also a passing threat, and I think he will work very well in their system. And you guys have any more comments on that?
I mean, clearly, David Johnson's great, but the number 1 pick in your fantasy draft should be Saquon Barkley. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah,
he's going to be the guy for New York this season, so he's just your number 1 pick. I think that's more of a no-doubter.
I can't argue with that.
All right, now we're going to switch it up to our next topic, which is our top 5 teams in the league. On this one, we will be taking some callers at our number 1-800-800-8000. And as far as top 5 teams, Nathan, I want to start with you on this one. What do you think are going to be some of your top teams this year?
I mean, you got to obviously go with the Brady and Belichick duo. There's just no stopping the Patriots. They're obviously number 1. Chiefs, they're a very reliable team as well. But I think one of the sleepers that a lot of people are forgetting about is the Eagles. The Eagles have a scary good receiving core, proven defense, and as long as they can keep Carson Wentz healthy, easy top 5.
So yeah, I would agree with that. I think another team not a lot of people are talking about is probably the Los Angeles Rams. I know they did make the Super Bowl last year, but everybody's saying they don't trust Goff, they don't trust that secondary. I know that Peters Talib secondary is good. Not a lot of people are trusting it. I think people aren't really understanding the fact that Jared Goff was on the way to MVP last season. Oh, it sounds like we got a caller?
Yeah, we got a caller right now. Steve from Lumberton, you are on the Football and Football Show. Hello?
Steve.
I got a quick question for you today.
Steve, you have any questions for the show?
Which NFL football teams do you think will be on the bubble for the 5th and 6th teams?
So basically the question is, which teams do you guys think will be on the bubble as far as like wild cards and stuff like that? I'm going to start on this one. I think that a team to watch see. I think that as far as the AFC, I like the Ravens because I think the Ravens last year surprised everybody winning their division, and I think that I think the Browns are obviously on paper they're one of the best teams, if not the best team in football right now, and I think that they're going to win the division, but I think the Ravens are going to be a very close second. So I like them as a bubble team that I would V for. Nate, what about you?
I'm not completely sold on Cleveland. I think they definitely talent-wise, there's no contest. But I don't know if they have enough chemistry levels together. So if they can manage to get it going by the end of the season, then they could definitely challenge for a wild card spot.
I mean, I would definitely say the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think basically, I think they could be a bubble team and potentially better. I think there's a real chance they win their division with Andrew Luck not seeming very consistently healthy of late. And the fact of the matter is, the defense is good. If they can play like they played with Bortles a couple years ago, don't put the pressure on Foles to score every drive. Foles is not the kind of guy you can rely on to get you 40 points a game. Great quarterback, don't get me wrong, but he's not somebody who's a high flyer, high scorer kind of guy. If the defense can hold strong and Leonard Fournette can have a productive bounce back year, and they can I don't want to say take the ball out of Nick Foles' hands because that's kind of like pessimistic. He is still a good quarterback, and they are paying him $100 million. But I don't think he's the kind of guy you lean your entire offense on. You need to use the weapons around him to his advantage.
All right, thank you, Steve, for the call. I just want to say something really quickly about the Jaguars. I think that I understand your argument that they could be a bubble team, if not better. However, I understand that their defense is, in my opinion, the best in the NFL.
Agreed.
But the fact of the matter is, the Jaguars' best receiver right now is a guy named Dede Westbrook.
It's not, dude.
Who is it?
Dude.
What?
Dede Westbrook is not the best receiver. Marquise Lee was on the way, and what's his name?
Who?
The guy who made the one-hand catch last year.
Keelan Cole, but that's one thing.
Keelan Cole is a productive young receiver. Dede Westbrook is not the best receiver.
Yes, sorry, man, but I haven't heard of a single one of those names until you just said that. They need receiving options if they're actually going to contend in this.
And going off of what Nate said, I mean, if you look at the stats. Keelan Cole, I understand that he made like one big catch and everybody went crazy. But besides that, he really did not do much. And I think that Dede Westbrook is the most consistent receiver that they have right now. So with that, I want to take it to our sports radio update, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about the best 7 teams in the English Premier League.
Well, guys, we are down to 9 teams at the Little League World Series, 5 on the U.S. side and 4 on the international side. The reigning champions from last year's World Series is the Hawaii team out of the West region. They remain undefeated as they take down Louisiana and New Jersey, paving their way to the semifinal where they take on a talented Virginia team. Moving to Oakland, Antonio Brown has returned with his teammates, even though he is filing another grievance for use of his old helmet. The coaches on the Raiders staff seem like they're losing their patience with this helmet case. In fact, the Raiders GM has said, "You're all in or you're all out." I'm Will Veer in Williamsport. Back to you, Max.
All right, thank you, Will. Before we continue on our next topic, we just want to say that the Football and Football Show is sponsored by Sports Illustrated Kids, the best kids magazine
#1
in the United States right now. Go pick up your latest edition today. So now we're going to move on to the football aspect of the show. English Premier League, top 7 teams. You guys are going to go back and forth on this one. I'm not a big soccer guy, so I'm going to stay out of this. But let's hear Luke's argument for the top 7 first.
Okay, so I'm going to start with 1, and then you can say your 2, and we'll see if I'll say like my 1 and 2, and you can say your 1 and 2, and we can go from there. So my 1 is going to be Man City. They just have a very, very good 11. They can consistently get goals. Maybe Fiorar is going to ruin their season again, but I really think there's not a team in this 20 squad league that I think can consistently challenge them day to day to day. If they played 30 times, Man City would beat all of these teams 25 out of those 30 times. Liverpool, I just don't trust them. I think they should have made a big move in the transfer window, so I really don't think they can overtake Manchester City as the top team. And I'm actually going to say they're not going to be in the top 4, which is pretty surprising. given the form of Arsenal with Aubameyang and Lacazette recently, especially with that new transfer Nicolas Pepe, they really have a chance to be in that top 3 again. And I think they're going to get that 2 spot. Once again, it's about trust. I don't trust Manchester City. Not City. United. I don't trust United with Ole at the wheel. I really don't think he can consistently bring his best team to form every single Sunday and Saturday. I just think Tottenham's a good team, but they're Tottenham. They never win anything. They're not going to be a top-tier team again. Maybe they can be top 4, but I don't see them being second. I think this is Arsenal's second place to take. What about you?
I think it was Jose Mourinho who said it. Manchester City, their second team, could probably win the Premier League the way it's going now. There's no question about it. Talent, they have just spilling over talent. There's just no question about that. They're number 1. It just doesn't matter whether they get too hung up on the Champions League this year. Liverpool, I think Liverpool's got enough to secure a second place spot. Their full goal scoring talent, defense is basically solid. They're just good enough. They have talent. They have the talent, but they're just not as good as Man City. Arsenal, I just kind of think that it's just Liverpool without the defense.
I mean, their form is great. They're in amazing form.
Yeah, but how long are they going to keep this up? They're Arsenal. They never really have a defense. They never really they haven't had a keeper since Cech. If you're talking about untrustworthy teams, that's one of those teams you just can't trust.
I mean, I guess you could say their 2 wins have come over Newcastle and Burnley, not exactly top-flight clubs. But to me, I can see your point about Liverpool and 2. I just really think that Arsenal is in the best form right now and they can maintain that form. 3, 4, and 5 for me, this is where it gets complicated. I'm gonna say 3 is Tottenham. I like the acquisition of Ndombele in the